the Fortnite Islands one and only nuclear power plant. Makes me so excited about this is the fact that the amount of realism and accuracy that Epic put into this map, this location, this POI, is insane. Because there's something missing from the power plant, and I think I know where it's at. And because of that, I feel that I know how the final fight is going to end, because when you combine it with leaks that we've already had and just the way that Epic likes to do their storylines, just wait. So it's going to start off down here. We have a location right here, and oh, you can't see it over there, but there's another one of these. Get that out of the way. This right here, this is an exhaust fan. Alright, it can be used for exhaust and intake, as you can see by the arrows denoting that it flows both ways. Okay, that's important. And then also remember those two pipes down there. Alright, so here we are at this pump house. And really it should be called a fan room. So you see how it comes out, it funnels up to the fan. Perfectly normal. But these doors here, these are special doors. This fan, special fan. This fan, the way it's designed and the way it moves air, if you want to call it a pump of any kind, you would call it what's known as a centrifugal pump. But either way, that fan alone can't overpressure a building like this to cause it to explode. What could cause it to overpressure? An out of control reactor. That's why you throw doors like this on. Not only are the hinges super duty, but inside of the door itself, it's not just going to be, these two bolts that come out. And if it is, it's still a super strong door, but typically hatches like this, which is what they are, they're hatches, they're not actually called doors. They usually have metal prongs inside of the door itself that would come out and stick into the wall in order to keep it shut. So then, with that in mind, notice for there and for the other one, it goes directly underground. Alright, that exhaust fan is very important. It's more important than you're going to realize until it all comes together. So the first building we're going to look at, first true building, is building number 5. Come to building number 5, it's actually the end of the process of power generation, because this is waste. These are waste barrels. Out behind the back, you see them getting loaded up into these trailers or the Connex boxes. We got an actual loading ramp where someone can come in and pick one up, take away for disposal. So we have this pipe here, whether it's intake or outgoing. Can't say without a shadow of a doubt which one it is, but either way, it's a pipe with an isolation valve. Come in, and you have these here. So these are either pumps, which I'm assuming they're pumps, right? However, there's nothing that really shows me that it's a pump. What it does show me is that it's a water filtration unit. Why do we need water filtration units? Probably because we got two giant intake pipes. They're not wastewater pipes. I'll show you how I know they're not wastewater pipes. But we have two giant intake pipes that come into the bottom of that indestructible base there, pulling in seawater. Unless you want to tell me that that's all fresh water, we need a system to purify it. Even if it was fresh water, we need a system to purify it to use it for nuclear power. But then we got these two, what I'm assuming these things are reverse osmosis units. All right, where you have semi-permeable layers of different membranes that the water can pass through, but then varying impurities of different sizes aren't able to pass through, and it would come in through this side, and as it gets pushed out, it would come out here, and those right there could either be cooling, air intake to cool if it was a pump, or that could be a baffle to allow for airflow so that way it doesn't overpressure in there as the water's trying to come through. Now if you look at all these pipes, that are clearly, oh my goodness, I'm lagging so bad, that are clearly leaving building 5. That one comes out, wraps around, goes around over here, goes over and shoots right down into the Kevolution, right? This here, this is a cooling tower. All nuclear power plants have them. There is nothing radioactive that actually happens in these towers. This is literally just spent water that has come from... Let me get out of all this extra noise. Spent water that comes from the reactor that needs to cool off before it gets recirculated back into the reactor system. It helps out with efficiency. It cuts down, it elongates the life. And notice how this water's purple because it's being affected by Kev the Q. You have to allow some Fortnite-ness to this now. True nuclear water does not look like that, especially not the water going through the cooling tower. But notice there's 3 pipes, right? At first I thought, well, maybe the one that's standalone is the special one, but it's not, because that one over there, the standalone, is the one connected to the pipe or the pump. The standalone on that tower is coming right near the pump, and this one right here that has 2 is near the pump. This is why I think these might be pumps, because you got all these pipes near here, and you don't need this many filtration units. But notice the baffle on the end is different, so this very well could be a pump that just happens to have the same shape as the water filtration over there. Same for that one right there. See that? See how the baffling on that's different? Alright. Come over here. If we don't look at the pipe that goes to the pump, and instead we follow the pipe that leaves Kevolution, right? Or leaves the cooling tower. We'll come over here. So there's another pipe right there. Alright. So one pipe connects right in down here. That one goes up, and it ends up being one of the very few inconsistencies that this lab has. Or not this lab, but this power generation station has. This power station. Power plant. Come in here. This bad boy is a turbine. 100% this is an electrical generating turbine. You have a danger electrical sign there. You have what's clearly a power gauge with a disconnect. That's what kind of switch that is. That's a disconnect. It's not a throttle or anything like that. It's a disconnect. Let's go over here. You have what looks to be fan blades that would be turned by steam of some kind. You have more pipes coming in, all with isolation valves. Now, Epic didn't need to add all these isolation valves in, especially not if they can actually function as isolation valves if you needed them to. So before we move on, let's take a look back. So you come back over here. Remember these pipes? So that one goes in down low. This one comes in up high and kind of just disappears. That one goes in down low. But mind you, that pump, that pipe, and that pipe both are right next to pumps. Here's what's interesting. That valve there would only isolate that leg of the pipe and help isolate that pump. So that way flow could still happen from right here. And if you go down this line, you see a valve right there, easily accessible to the catwalk right there, which would make that the isolation valve for that leg and that pump. Not to mention, this pump has it has a discharge valve right here to stop any additional discharge that doesn't need to happen if you're trying to isolate the pump. So all this realism, once I realized just like how true to form of a nuclear power plant this place was, I was like, what? Let me actually take a look at this. And then you come in here, and all the gauges that are in here, I guess I know that they resemble gauges pretty much everywhere else. This is the stock one that they give us. But the way they have it set up, it's purely power monitoring, right? Power monitoring, they probably have some gauges for the flow going through the pipes to make sure they don't have overpressurizing going on. And this is building number 4, I think. Yeah, blue 4. Well, come over here. Those pipes come in, they actually connect through. Boom, 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 boom. They go down, there's nothing underneath them. But wait, isn't there? You got a little bit of pipe right there. Hopefully the water clears up. Little bit of pipe right there that comes from the bottom. And then on this here, you got nozzles, lower and upper. This pool is just a cooling pool. Alright. Ooh, that's actually... Lag me down lower. Do it. Lag me lower. There we go. Ooh, moon gets me just enough. Come on, let me get lower. No! Okay. Well, that's not gonna stop the video. Alright. There is upper and lower levels of nozzles. There was pipe going in. Where did that sound go? All that sound in here was because of whatever was in there was pumping in water. Okay? Now, something big to realize here that's different than everywhere else. Only building 2. This is building 2, I'm pretty sure. Only building 2 has. Coming into this section, this room right here, you have these. Right? You have these on either side of the doors that lead directly into, on every door that leads directly into here. And it's double isolation. So the way this would work is before one door should be open, the other one would need to be closed before they would allow you to pass through. That's how it is for all of them. You're about to enter, that light lets you know it's flashing, it's the same color. You're about to enter radioactive area. We're about to enter power plant area. Oh look, they got a nice little gauge table as well. They have gauge table. You have an entire team keeping track of all the systems needed for redundancy. And then over here, you have the nod to Homer Simpson, right? What is Homer Simpson's occupation? He's an employee at a nuclear power plant, but he's actually a reactor operator. All right, that's what all this would be. All these different gauges and buttons and everything, these would be like control rod insertion and withdrawal. They would be showing him temp readouts on all these screens, all that jazz. Now, building number 3 is interesting. They have a random pipe coming in, but I think it's more for aesthetic. However, if you look here and here, their panels, you know, they just got 2 little operators that like to hang out here, watch their screens, and they each have a side to take care of. That's how that would work, of a lot of gauges. Other than that, building 3 is kind of boring, right? They got a little gauge right there. That pipe, if you go up underneath there, it's just ceiling. But it's coming from building number 4. Well, what's going on with building number 4? Why do they have a whole pipe dedicated to going and seeing them? See, that goes in. Oh, and what's that? That's one of the few mistakes that Epic made in continuity. So, they took that mistake and they just left it. Right? They never needed to add anything new. But what makes building number 3 interesting is they have the this isn't a substation, those are substations, but they actually have like the power generation. Okay, these giant transformers that would take any electrical power being made. And what do you need to properly gauge the amount of electrical power? A lot of gauges. Oh, doesn't that resemble a circuitry? So those switches would probably actually be disconnect switches to balance flow to go back and forth between different power generators so that we don't overdo one. And then, you know, you hear the noise from these. You don't hear the noise from this because this is just a small transformer, right? Or a small transformer, substation, whatever. Those are very large ones, so they're gonna have more of that electrical hum. However, there's only one more place where those are found on the Battle Royale map. Right here. In Dirty Docks. Only other place on the map where they're found. There's only one other place where you find these. Retail Row. Right there. Matter of fact, these zip lines that we take for granted and we call them zip lines all the time, they're not zip lines at all. These are power lines and nothing connects to them. They go from Steamy, from the Kevolution plant to Retail Row. This is where it gets interesting. Where's building number 1? Kevin's in building number 1 in Shards, deep underground. That's what those exhaust fans are for. You don't believe me? Come over here. These random just level pipes, right? That's what that would be used for. Help sense level with view windows in them. You only use viewing windows like that when you have a potentially dangerous high pressure system behind it, because those are just really strong double triple glass. But those are all around here because there's probably multiple access points, and there's probably, see, however many of those are. Alright, so we have at least 9 of them, and I bet you they have 9 fairly decent sized chunks of Kev that they are drawing the power for Kevolution energy from. And I bet you the Alien Queen, what she's going to do, she's going to come over our island, open the mothership's door, because that's what it's going to take in order to build. That's going to be the only way strong enough to abduct Kevin's cube, Kevin's shards. And then once they're abducted, she's going to piece it back together, and then the Kevin we're going to have on the map's either going to be a smaller Kevin or it's going to be a broken, kind of when you try to super glue something back together after you've shattered it type look. So it's got a bunch of cracks and everything in it. It's not going to be perfect. And that's going to be the storyline to Season 8. We're going to be tracking where the cube's going, what kind of damage it's doing to the island, and just how it's going to, you know, how it evolves. That's all I got for you guys. If you stayed through and you watched it all, thank you. You're awesome. If you enjoyed what I had to say, you know, please like, subscribe. Support a creator code the Haineyez, HAINYEZ. That's all I got for you guys. See ya.